July is a huge month. We have Venus retrograding, we have Mercury entering Virgo for the next couple of months, getting ready to retrograde once again. And one of the arguably biggest transits of the year occurs as North and South Node shift signs. They leave Taurus and Scorpio and enter Aries and Libra. For the next year and a half, we're going to be having eclipses in Aries and Libra. We're going to be balancing the more independent, brave, self-oriented energy of Aries with the more relationship-oriented, harmonizing, diplomatic energy of Libra. There's a lot to talk about. Let's take a closer look and break down most important transits for all 12 signs. My name is Anastasia. I'm a traditional Western astrologer specializing in natal, relationship, and predictive readings. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe, leave me a like or a comment. I highly appreciate that, and it actually encourages YouTube algorithm to show my video to more people. You can work with me if you need guidance at the link down below, or book a reading at anastasiadoesastrology.com. I also offer horoscope subscriptions. You can become a subscriber on my website to get monthly, detailed, unique natal horoscopes emailed to you at the start of every month. They are based on your natal chart and describe the astrological influences that are specific to you. So check out the plans on my website. Before we talk about July, June was a rather busy month. We had the Sun and Mercury in Gemini, new moon in Gemini, highly mental, cerebral sign making aspects to Saturn and Neptune in dreamy, evasive, hard to pin down Pisces. If you felt tired, overwhelmed, you're not alone. I was juggling a couple of projects at the same time and felt like I didn't know which one to stick with. So I reached out to a tarot reader for advice, and I actually would like to share with you the service I personally use to get my readings. Purple Garden, who's sponsoring this video. Purple Garden connects you with talented psychic, tarot, and astrology advisors who are ready to guide, inspire, and empower you. All you have to do is create an account and you'll be able to choose from the hundreds of advisors online right now. The tarot reader I spoke with, her name was Sadie, and her advice was really on point. She saw right through me and talked about my fears and things that are holding me back. She was able to see that one of the projects my collaborator wasn't putting in the fair share of work. So she gave me some helpful advice. And I remember leaving the session feeling kind of seen and reassured. If you have a relationship, career, life purpose, or any other inquiry, Purple Garden has an advisor ready for you. They even offer palm readings, angel insights, oracle guidance, and dream analysis. You can choose which advisor suits your needs best, and you'll be able to connect with them via text chat, phone call, or video call. Go to trypurplegarden.com/Anastasia or click the link in my description to get clarity you need for a fulfilling life. As a new Purple Garden customer, you will get your first deposit of $10 matched using my promo code Anastasia. It's a deal you don't want to miss. So July opens up with a very exciting aspect. We have Mercury Cazimi, which is conjunction between the Sun and Mercury, sextiling Jupiter, the planet of good luck and abundance, on July 1st. That actually is in effect on June 30th into July 1st. And Mercury Cazimi always offers insights, downloads, understanding. It's a good time to send an email. It's a good time to reach out to someone. And when you put it in an aspect to Jupiter, there is even more good luck. There's more opportunities for growth, expansion, and success. So the beginning of the month is lovely for planning the future, starting studies, taking exams, going on or planning a trip, socializing, and like I said, reaching out to other people for support. I really like starting the month with this insightful moment because it feels like as we continue through the month, we get opportunities to work on those insights. And here we are in Cancer. Cancer season lasts until July 22nd. So the things we're working on are deeply personal. They're deeply emotionally attached to us. Let's see how emotional Cancer season feels this time around. But it's kind of, I think, it's like a signal, Mercury Cazimi, it's a signal that cuts through the clutter and helps us know what truly matters. So then on July 2nd, we have a bit of a tough aspect as Venus squares Uranus. There could be some relationship tests and shakeups. Challenges of independence, if your relationship has been feeling too stagnant, or if you've been sacrificing something, or if you've been hiding something, or your partner, this could be the time when it comes to light. Could be a lovely transit for experimenting in art and love, but be mindful that relationships that are shaky may not make it through. But of course, relationships that are strong will keep going. July 3rd, we have the full moon at 11 degrees Capricorn. The full moon is opposing Mercury and trines Jupiter in Taurus. So it's an interesting dynamic because in Cancer season, we are generally very feeling oriented, but the full moon in Capricorn makes us look at things from a more rational perspective. It sort of says like, okay, you have these desires, you have these dreams, but how do you make them happen? How do you get organized, right? So there is some work we need to do to finish, or some work we need to do, some boundaries we need to put in place, some tough conversations we need to have in order to get us to where we're trying to go. Between July 6th and 7th, Mercury sextiles Uranus, and then on July 9th, Mercury trines Neptune. So the first aspect is bright, it's insightful. Your thinking is quick, your thinking is empowered, it's lovely for socializing, for journaling, for problem solving, taking exams, or studying some kind of technical things. To me, it feels like whatever you have thought about, the idea you're working on, you are able to see it from a new perspective. You're able to get some fresh insight into it, right? Like fresh blood basically flowing. And then on July 9th, it becomes a lot more about the collective. Maybe you add an element of imagination to it, an element of spirituality. July 9th is a lovely day for making amends, for writing music, writing poetry, meditating. It's a very spiritual day, not so good for detailed work. So perhaps leave kind of analytical work for later. On July 10th, Mars enters Virgo. Will stay in Virgo until August 27th. Mars in Virgo is very methodical, very practical, very hardworking, very militant, I've heard it described as. So until August 27th, we will prioritize staying productive, doing work that serves others, and sort of really enjoying the work well done. I have this placement, so I can attest to that being my default mode of being. Mercury will also oppose Pluto on July 10th, so there might be some tense conversations, some power struggles, difficult exchanges you have to address that ultimately will help you transform and grow and get to the goal that you are trying to accomplish. It's interesting because Mercury makes these aspects to Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto between July 6th and 10th. And the Sun actually makes the same aspects because the Sun at this point is traveling behind Mercury. So the Sun will make the same aspects between the 14th and 21st of July. And it feels like the storyline we are exploring is, okay, this feels personal, this feels important, I want to do this. And then Uranus is like, okay, here's the solution. And then Neptune is like, this can also be used to help a lot of people, or this could be a dream come true. And then both Mercury and the Sun oppose Pluto, showing us that there is something we need to transform. There is something we have to face. There is the shadow side to our desires. Even fears within ourselves that are stopping us will need to be looked at closely. On July 11th, Mercury enters Leo. Will stay here until July 28th. Mercury in Leo is loud, grand, bold, charismatic. We sort of want to tell stories that are authentic. stories that are humorous and exciting, also entertaining. July 12th is a big deal because North Node enters Aries, South Node enters Libra until January 29th, 2025. So we are on the precipice of a new cycle, right? We've dealt with North and South Node in Taurus and Scorpio. Now this is done. Now we're entering a new chapter. Last time North Node was in Aries, South Node was in Libra between 2005-2006. So reflect on that and see how you may have dealt with similar topics at that time. In general, South Node being in Libra suggests that we are releasing something in the Libra sector of our chart. We're also likely releasing unhealthy relationship tendencies, people-pleasing dynamics, and need to sacrifice our goals for others. And with North Node being in Aries, we are getting more clear about what makes us happy, what kind of our soul desires. And of course, in the perfect case scenario, we're trying to balance the two, right? It's never about one versus the other. It's like, how can we collaborate while making sure we're not sacrificing the truth, sacrificing ourselves? And what's interesting is Venus, the ruler of South Node, is about to go retrograde, right? So even Venus about to go retrograde, Venus ruling the South Node in Libra, to me is a sign that something about our relationships, something about our desires no longer feels authentic, right? It could be, for example, you are a writer and you've been writing a story and you realize that the story no longer feels important to you because you have outgrown it. So we may experience a little bit of confusion, especially as Venus stations retrograde, but I think as things pick up, it's going to get easier and we'll get more clarity. So on July 14th, Sun sextiles Uranus, very bright, very insightful, kind of electric energy, faster mind, opportunities to change your life, change your style, present yourself in a kind of knowledgeable, innovative type of way. On July 17th, Mercury squares Jupiter. That is, in general, kind of an optimistic, exciting transit, but a square to Jupiter always implies a danger of taking things too far. Like this transit could mean that you speak out of order, or you're too kind of cocky, too all-knowing, maybe you take on too much. So be aware of that and do not kind of pretend to be an expert on something you're not an expert on. The same day, July 17th, we have a new moon in Cancer. It trines Neptune, which it feels like a positive new moon. It's a new moon in her home sign with a happy aspect. So I think here we are still using those insights from the start of the month to pursue new projects, new beginnings that have that Neptunian undertone, following dreams, connecting with the collective, working on imagination, connecting with other people. On July 20th, Sun trines Neptune. It's a very spiritual day, kind of imaginative, great for writing, not so good for detailed work. Mars also opposes Saturn, so July 20th can be tough. It feels like the things we're trying to accomplish get stopped. The opposition to Saturn is always like delays, frustrations, restrictions, disappointment connected to slow progress and things not moving as quickly as you would like. So it's not a good time to push harder. Instead, take a step back, take a defensive approach, and appreciate the accomplishments you've made and think of proceeding slowly, carefully, and how can you work through the roadblocks. On July 21st, Sun will oppose Pluto, which is frustrating. Like I mentioned, shadows of desires, shadows of our beliefs. Sometimes we can be too righteous, thinking that our opinions or our ideas are the only correct ones. So this could be the time to address that. And it also feels to me like the climax of the emotional Cancer season, where we reach some kind of boiling point, and maybe it gives us a chance to change, or it gives us a chance to express it, but be careful getting into power struggles. July 22nd is a major day. Venus goes retrograde and the Sun enters Leo. So the Sun in Leo would want to shine. It would make us want to be bright and solar and generous and kind of seek the spotlight. But Venus going retrograde on the same day, to me, makes it feel like we want to shine, but we're not quite sure about things that we are pursuing. We're not sure about our style. We're not sure about our creative pursuits. We may second guess our relationships. We may feel Leo is all about recognition, appreciation. So when Venus is retrograding in Leo, there might be a sense that you don't feel recognized, that you don't feel seen. And perhaps it's the time to have some tough conversations and make sure you are seen. On July 23rd, Mercury squares Uranus. This is like a mini Mercury retrograde. You may experience tech breakdowns, packages not delivered, miscommunication. So make sure you're sending the text to the right person and think twice before speaking. July 27th is lovely as Mercury conjoins Venus. If you did say something you didn't want to say, this is your opportunity to make amends and talk about things, and kind of even expressing yourself in a charming, eloquent way is possible right now. And July 28th, the last transit of the month, Mercury enters Virgo and stays here until October 4th. Mercury will go retrograde between August 23rd and September 15th, my birthday. So Mercury in Virgo in general tends to ground our thinking, make us more practical, better at problem solving. But because Mercury is about to retrograde, it's also going to make you rethink the sector of your chart where Virgo is. It can make you rethink how you take care of yourself, how you problem solve, how critical you are of yourself. A lot of interesting questions. Now let's break down some of the most important transits for all 12 signs. If you'd like a detailed horoscope that breaks down the month specifically for you and talks about a lot more transits and gives you a lot more juice and advice, get a subscription on my website, AnastasiaDoesAstrology.com. It's a monthly horoscope subscription. So if you are an Aries rising, the Sun is in Cancer, your 4th house, until July 22nd. Expect to feel more like a homebody. You're more driven to spend time with family, to reconnect with family. Maybe you're nesting, making changes in the home, improving your home. At the start of the month, we get Mercury Cazimi in your 4th house, sextiling Jupiter in the 2nd house. There are new beginnings in this sector of home and family, or at least some kind of conception, new understanding, new kind of ideas when it comes to home and family. It could be a start of working from home, or you're starting a business from home. Maybe you're investing into a property, or you're thinking of moving. The harmonious aspect to Jupiter in the house of money and values is really nice, because it feels like either you're using your property to make money, or you're investing into your property, or you're, like I said, maybe you're starting to work from home, or you're starting to work in real estate. Definitely feels like with all of this Cancer action, we also have a new moon in Cancer on July 17th. There's a lot of new beginnings in the home and family. So I can see some of you moving, I can see some of you renovating, buying a home, changing your relationships with family, or finding new sense of comfort and security is highly likely here. There's a full moon in Capricorn on July 3rd. Capricorn is your 10th house of career, and it feels like as you are focusing really a lot on home, family, roots, and your sense of comfort, something needs to change at work. So perhaps you need to kind of introduce better boundaries, right? You need to tell your boss that you cannot work on Saturdays or Sundays, right? Now you can only work 9 to 5. Or you need to complete a project, or even like sometimes it could be maybe you're leaving a job because you want to spend more time with family. Definitely a need to let something go so that there is a better work-life balance in your life. Mars enters Virgo, your 6th house, on July 10th, stays here until August 27th. Virgo for you is the 6th house. It's the place of health. You may experience an increase in wanting to take care of yourself. This could be a lovely period to rethink your health routines, to rethink your diet, your exercise, and your self-care. Mars is in its joy in the 6th house, so you kind of are more driven to problem solve. You're better at negotiating, at kind of doing multiple projects at once. Of course, make sure you're not overexerting yourself and watch out for work drama. What's interesting is Mercury will be here from July 28th until October 4th, retrograding between August 23rd and September 15th, which to me feels like you are rethinking your professional choices, or you are rethinking your work-life balance, your diet, because maybe something in your life feels like it's ready to be upgraded, it's ready to be brought to the new level. Maybe even making doctor's appointments that you have forgotten to make. A really big shift occurs on July 12th as North Node enters your 1st house and South Node enters your 7th house. This will last until January 29th, 2025. And last time we had this was between November 2004 and June 2006. So take a look back and type down in the comments below what you remember was happening at that time in your life. But South Node always represents release, letting things go. And with South Node in the 7th house, it feels like you are completing a chapter, a relationship chapter. It doesn't mean like, you know, for some of you, a relationship may end if it's been outdated, if you've outgrown it. It could be the time to let go of a relationship and focus on yourself. It can also be the time of really deep transformations in a relationship and some kind of personal growth. And the growth could actually be connected to a relationship. But definitely feels like a sense of like rethinking how you deal with love, right? Rethinking how you deal with other people and starting to prioritize your well-being so that you can build stronger relationships. And like I said, let me know what was 2005 and 6 like. We have a new moon in Cancer, like I said, on July 17th, new beginnings in the home and family, moving, renovating, changing your living situation, changing your family dynamics. And Leo's season begins on July 22nd. Venus goes retrograde on July 22nd until early October. So Venus is retrograding in your 5th house, and 5th house represents joy, romance, creativity, and children. And when Venus is retrograde, we naturally tend to be a bit more doubtful and uncertain about the things represented by the house Venus is retrograding in. So this might be the time when you feel a lack of inspiration, where you feel a lack of desire almost, right? Maybe your romantic life is not going as well. Maybe you feel like your relationship is in a slump, or you feel not inspired to kind of create, paint, do anything like that. And I would encourage you to kind of embrace the confusion, but also look for answers. Try to find solutions and maybe even look back at when you were a kid to see what inspired you back then. And if you'd like more, and if you'd like to know how the rest of July transits will affect you, as well as what personal transits are happening in your chart, consider getting a subscription on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com, to get your personal monthly horoscope delivered to your email at the beginning of every month. If you are a Taurus rising, the sun is in Cancer until July 22nd. This is your 3rd house, and your schedule is likely to be busier. You're communicating more. you're writing more, you're talking more, sending more messages, and sort of pursuing hobbies or maybe taking action to forward your business. At the start of the month, we have Mercury Cazimi in your third house, sextiling Jupiter in the first house. And to me, this reads as like insights, new ideas, conception of something that can either forward your business or put you in touch with people or kind of allow you to communicate, allow you to take on educational projects perhaps, and like offer you a chance to grow and to follow your desires, right? With Uranus has been in your first house for a while. Now Jupiter is in your first house. You are on a true kind of path of rethinking who you are. And then we also actually, speaking of Cancer season, we also have a new moon in your third house on July 17th, which to me is another indicator of you taking your skill and bringing it to the next level. Maybe there's some kind of new beginnings connected to education, new beginnings connected to communication, where you're starting a blog or social media channel, or just embracing a different role, and kind of your everyday life is changing with this transit. We have a full moon in Capricorn, your ninth house, on July 3rd. And that brings changes to your beliefs, ideals, to your education sector, as you are starting a new kind of chapter in terms of your everyday life and your involvement with people and your communication or things that interest you. You need to examine and complete something in the ninth house of your chart, right? And ninth house deals with education, travel, legal matters, writing. So it's almost and like mentality as well. So I think maybe you're afraid of having a business. Maybe you're afraid of kind of being loud about what you want to do, right? Sharing it in public. So with the full moon in the ninth house, I think it's the time to release some of those outdated beliefs and choose those that are more constructive and more supportive, as well as maybe there's certain exams you need to take, certain education matters you need to attend to, or like legal matters you need to complete. Mars enters Virgo, your fifth house, on July 10th, and until August 27th, you are more energetic, more willing to date, more playful potentially, more sexual and sensual, more passionate. You are driven to spend more time with children, to kind of dedicate time to play or dedicate time to your child. It's a busier time, but watch out for being too critical with your partners or too critical with your children. Mercury will be here starting July 28th until October 4th. Mercury goes retrograde between August 23rd and September 15th. So as Mars perhaps introduce some themes connected to relationships, creative self-expression, and children, then Mercury goes in here and you're getting to rethink some of the ways you handle stress in these areas perhaps, or the way you handle inspiration, or the way you handle relationship with your children. So Mercury being retrograde here could be a great time to, reconnect with your inner child, look for inspiration in new places or in the old forgotten places, and maybe revive some past projects. A really big shift occurs on July 12th as North Node enters your 12th house and South Node enters your 6th. They will stay here until January 29th, 2025. And a good way to see what this might be for you would be to reflect on November 2004 until June 2006, when we last had North Node in Aries and South Node in Libra. Take a moment to reflect. Make sure to tell me in the comments below what you remember. But in general, South Node will be in your 6th house, and 6th house is the place of the grind. And you have Libra there, so you might have a tendency to be overly accommodating when it comes to serving other people, when it comes to working really hard, or even when it comes to making some decisions, right? And with North Node in Aries in your 12th house, your priorities will shift from accommodating other people to perhaps choosing yourself, or one second, or from working a lot. Like this could be a very literal shift where you start to prioritize your mental health, you start to prioritize spiritual work. You even shift maybe from having a job to having a career that deals with healing other people, to healing people, because that's what 12th house is about. But definitely for the next year and a half, you're making a big shift from working really hard to finding time to rest, unwind, relax, and nurture your spiritual side. On July 17th, like I said, there's a new moon in Cancer, suggests new beginnings in terms of education, schedule, communication, siblings. Maybe you're taking a new role in the collective, maybe you're building a community, starting a business, anything like that is possible. And the last transit that is worth mentioning is Leo season begins on July 22nd, and Venus goes retrograde in Leo on the same day. This is your 4th house, and Venus in Leo wants to be recognized, appreciated. And 4th house represents home, family, living situation. So Leo season and Venus retrograde being here at the same time, to me, feels like you are examining your relationship with family. Maybe you're looking at your place of living and kind of questioning whether this home or whether these family dynamics make you happy. And this could be a great time to maybe think of, creating a different style in your home, or creating different relationships, or maybe even moving. But be very honest with yourself in terms of what makes you happy and what doesn't make you happy. And if you'd like a personal in-depth horoscope, you could become a subscriber on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com, to get personalized, specific to your natal chart horoscopes describing major event of the month. They have a lot more information than this one, emailed to you at the start of every month. Check out my website. If you are a Gemini rising, the sun is in Cancer until July 22nd. This is your 2nd house. And with the sun here, you are looking at projects and commitments and values that are deep and personal. And you might actually be kind of handling some financial matters. Maybe you are kind of giving gifts to family or spending more time with family, but definitely feels like rethinking what's important and investing into projects that are more close to heart. And that is a big kind of place of action for you in July. So focusing on money, paying off debts, kind of organizing finances, and also just asking what is important to you, I think, is the theme of July. As we begin the month on July 1st, we have Mercury Cazimi in your 2nd house. And this could be the time of insights. And the Mercury Cazimi actually sextiles Jupiter in the 12th house. So you're getting some kind of important downloads, or you're getting news, you're getting kind of ideas about making money that are very spiritual, that either allow you to rest or allow you to express your imagination, allow you to express your intuition, right? We get an exchange between the 2nd house of money and values and the 12th house of peace, rest, imagination. So you're getting to tie those two really nicely together. Let me know how this resonates in the comments below. What's interesting is later in the month, on July 17th, we have a new moon in Cancer in a trine to Neptune and Pisces, which still suggests kind of, I think, whatever downloads you got, you are now getting to build foundations and maybe make changes to your career and make changes to your pursuits, make changes to your resources so that you are able to have more joy and passion and kind of creativity in your life. We have a full moon in Capricorn on July 3rd. that is interesting because full moon in Capricorn brings your attention to debts and taxes. And to me, this feels like as you are getting ready to reinvent your goals, to start new projects and pursue new interests, you need to address some kind of financial questions, right? The full moon in the 8th house could be the time to pay off a debt, to kind of get rid of some kind of agreement with another person, to rethink your investments even, right? Like if you are ready to take on a new business venture, right? Maybe you need to solidify your, like even kind of create a contract between you and the other person, or pay off a debt, or get more organized when it comes to your resources so that you have space, you have time, you have money to enjoy life a little bit more. Mars enters Virgo, your 4th house, on July 10th. Will stay here until August 27th. To me, that suggests more time spent with family, maybe more active exchanges with family, like playing games, traveling together, right? It could also be a time where you have more energy to make changes in the home. So a lovely period to undertake any home improvements and renovations. Watch out for fights with family members because Mars, by nature, it tends to be quite aggressive and independent. So chances of feeling aggressive and too independent from your family, they kind of go up, and fights can spiral from that. Mercury actually enters your 4th house as well on July 28th. Will stay here until October 4th. Mercury goes retrograde between August 23rd and September 15th. So whatever is happening in your sector of home and family in July will likely to need to be rethought in August, September. Maybe you're starting projects that will then need to be kind of, tweaked here and there. If it's a renovation project, maybe you will need to reconsider some improvements you've been making. Could also be the time in which you are addressing your relationship with family, questioning the past, needing to release some past wounds or process things that you haven't processed. And also perhaps getting more clear about what you need and what you desire. A really big shift occurs on July 12th when North Node enters your 11th house and South Node enters your 5th house. We're getting a really big shift from Taurus and Scorpio into Aries and Libra. And this will last, it will take us through into 2025. It will last until January 29th, 2025. Last time we had the same aspect was from November 2004 until June 2006. Take a look back and let me know in the comments below what you remember, what was happening in your life at that time. But South Node always represents endings and changes, and since South Node is in your 5th house, there could be a sense of like needing to address your people-pleasing tendencies in love, in creative pursuits, and in relationships with children. So your relationship with your child can undergo a change. The life of your child can also change in some way. But I think you're examining how maybe your even your tendency to party, or your bad habits, or your like relationship to joy, your relationship to pleasure maybe needs to be transformed, or how even your tendencies in dating, how they need to be changed, right? Maybe you tend to be like really easygoing with sex and it's not serving you. So there is an opportunity to let go of old patterns. And then North Node being in your 11th house feels like you are starting to become more outwardly oriented, more focused on dreams and desires and kind of goals and role within collective. So I think as you are rethinking your bad habits or your relationship to pleasure, or even kind of tendencies that are holding you back, you're getting more able to open space to follow new dreams and to become more visible in the collective, to maybe show your face on social media, start a YouTube channel, kind of become more known. And one example could be, if you felt like you are a parent and that's the only thing that defines you. Maybe your mom starts to help out with your child and you have more freedom to go out there and express yourself. And finally, on July 22nd, Leo season begins and Venus goes retrograde in your third house. So Venus retrograding in the third house could be the time when your educational pursuits or your schedule or your relationship with siblings and even communication with others gets a little bit shaky. It kind of loses maybe clarity, or maybe you lose the momentum in the way you've been pursuing these communication, writing, education, social media related projects. And you need to pivot, you need to adjust, you need to problem solve and look for different answers. So try to focus on thinking happy thoughts, look for inspirations in the things that always brought you joy, right? And examine your attitudes, examine your mindset, because this is very much about what you tell yourself and what you think. And so this could be an opportunity to maybe start to think happier thoughts and welcome a mindset shift. And if you'd like a personal horoscope based on your natal chart describing what's going on in your life and breaking down the month ahead in a lot more detail, you can become a subscriber on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com, to get monthly horoscopes sent to your email at the start of every month. So if you are a Cancer rising, the sun is in Cancer, your sign, until July 22nd, and you have more energy, you have more power to shine, you're more driven to express yourself and kind of able to stand out, right? You can even feel more confident. And at the start of the month, July 1st, there's a Mercury cazimi in your first house, making a sextile to Jupiter in the 11th. To me, this reads as a conception of a new idea. Inception of a new idea. Maybe you get an insight about who you are, and then with sextile to Jupiter, you either have the power to take that insight and bring it into the collective, bring it to social media, bring it to your friend, or you get a new dream, you get some kind of insight. But whatever it is, the idea or the insight you have about yourself, you know how to use that to help other people, or you know how to use that to connect you to other people, right? Maybe you understand that you've always been complimented for how clear you are in your explanation, and you understand that you want to be a teacher, right? There could be like an exciting conception of a new dream. And then on July 17th, we actually have a new moon in your first house in Cancer. So that is, I think, playing on these new beginnings and insights you received at the start of the month, and introduces new beginnings to your health, to your personality, to your style, to the way you define yourself. So likely over the course of the next 6 months, the way you describe yourself when you say I am will no longer be the same. Chances are you're going to rethink. And it's also the changes in your life can be connected to moving or traveling or writing or studying, because the new moon on July 17th trines Neptune in your 9th house. So lots of action in the sector of self. And like I said, it connects you to the collective, and it connects you to, it either places you in the role of a teacher, mentor, guide, or gives you a chance to travel and explore outside of your comfort zone. We have a full moon in your 7th house on July 3rd, and that is in opposition to the sun in your 1st house. So as you are conceiving of yourself in a new way, as you are reinventing yourself, the full moon draws your attention to your relationships, saying that you need to take a close look at whether they are worthy or whether they need to be changed, right? So some connections that have been outdated may need to be released, while the others will need to be brought to a new level. So the full moon in Capricorn can be a very kind of rational, serious time in which you are examining partnerships, releasing or transforming them in order to keep up with the changes that you're going through, right? Because as you're transforming, so do your relationships. Mars enters Virgo, your third house, on July 10th. Mars will stay here until August 27th. And Mars in the third house is always super fast. It means your mind is faster, so take advantage of having lots of ideas. It can mean that your agenda is packed. You may be spending more time interacting with siblings, neighbors, connecting with other people. You have more ideas, you have more engagements. Be careful of driving too fast. Mars in the third house always has a danger of driving too fast or getting into like careless accidents, fighting with siblings, and also just scattering your energy. Do something to get yourself grounded. And what's interesting is Mercury will go into your third house on July 28th. Will stay here until October 4th. Will go retrograde later on in August, offering you a chance to rethink how you deal with the everyday life stresses, right? If you let them overwhelm you, or you let them throw you off course, or you let other people kind of take the best of you, Mercury retrograde here could be an opportunity to slow down and maybe rethink how you deal with this kind of stuff. A really, really big shift occurs on July 12th as North Node enters Aries, your 10th house of career, status, and reputation, and South Node enters your 4th house of home and family until January 29th, 2025. Big deal. Last time we had this exact alignment would have been between November 2004 and June 2006. How has your professional life and your home life changed within that period? Because South Node tends to represent endings and change and kind of transformation, and the change will occur in the sector of home and family. So this could be the time where your parents go through a change, or your house of living, like your place of living changes, maybe you're moving. And the gains or kind of tangible new beginnings are happening in your house of career, status, and reputation. So an example would be loss in the house of home and family, in a sense of like leaving your hometown, and gain in the house of career in a sense of getting a new job in Paris, right? So you move and you go through like a very kind of visible change. But let me know what happened between late 2004, middle 2006 in the comments below. New moon in your sign on July 17th, very significant in terms of new beginnings and health, style, personal growth, as I mentioned at the start of your horoscope. And another big transit occurs on July 22nd. Actually, two big transits. Sun enters Leo, your second house, and Venus goes retrograde in Leo, your second house. So Venus will be retrograde until early September. Yeah, Venus goes direct on September 3rd. So we always get like approximately 6 weeks of Venus retrograde. So yeah, Venus goes retrograde on July 22nd, Leo season. Just a little bit of like technical confusion. So there is a lot of action in the second house of money and values, but Venus retrograde here means that you are questioning things. Means that maybe your relationship to money needs to change. Maybe your values need to be addressed. Like if you're not happy with the resources you have, look within. Look at how your beliefs shape your finances, right? Do you believe that you deserve abundance? Do you believe that you're worthy? And if you're not, how can you start maybe telling yourself some kind of affirmations, start believing in yourself more? Your finances and your work life may need to change because second house represents money. Do you feel like you're compensated enough? And if not, what can you do to maybe take more responsibility or change a job so you get a job that's more supportive of you? Venus retrograde can also bring kind of some debts and bills that you forgot you had. So kind of make you revisit those topics. And if you'd like an in-depth personal horoscope that looks specifically at your natal chart and describes what you're going through right now, visit my website, Anastasia Does Astrology, and get a subscription, monthly subscription I will send you horoscopes at the start of every month, breaking down the month ahead and giving you guidance. So check that out. If you are a Leo rising, the sun is in Cancer until July 22nd. This is your 12th house, and you may feel a pull to retreat, to spend more time in solitude. Maybe you're more interested in spiritual things. Maybe you're more driven to travel and sort of explore, escape, right? 12th house oftentimes is escape. So hopefully you're engaging in healthy escapes and not unhealthy ones. At the start of the month, on July 1st, we have a Mercury cazimi in your 12th house, sextiling Jupiter in the 10th. And this is interesting because Jupiter in the 10th house suggests new beginnings in career, status, reputation. A Mercury cazimi in the 12th house to me feels like you're getting an insight or you're getting a new idea when it comes to your mental health or when it comes to bad habits. This could be an opportunity to release an unhealthy habit. Or you're actually getting a chance to use your imagination and bring something from your blind spot, represented by the 12th house, into the world and turn that into a professional advantage, right? Maybe something you've been through that's been really challenging can be now turned into a novel, and maybe you sell it and you become known as an author. So there's definitely an opportunity for improving your mental health, releasing unhealthy habits, and making changes that kind of maximize your imagination and your spirituality. Maybe you become a healer. Maybe you become a tarot reader, an astrologer. And actually, on July 17th, we have a new moon in Cancer, your 12th house, which suggests new beginnings in mental health, imagination, and spirituality. So the new moon will be trining Neptune in the 8th, which once again feels like either you are transforming your bad habits, you may also be paying off some debts and making kind of healthy changes that offer a better balance in your life. We have a full moon in Capricorn, your 6th house, on July 3rd. And this to me feels like in order to find some freedom, in order to find rest, represented by the sun, Mercury cazimi, new moon in your 12th house, in order to find a better way to express your imagination, you need to look at your everyday life. You need to look at your work, right? And maybe make some changes there. Maybe you need to examine how you spend your time, because in order to kind of get you to those places that you're envisioning and imagining, whether that's financial abundance, whether that's a role of a spiritual guide, or it's an imagination-driven career, or even just a chance to relax, you need to sort of get like really, really serious and practical about everyday life and the way you spend your time and the work that you do. Like, is this work getting you closer to where you're trying to go, or is it better to maybe release that job or end the project that is not healthy, or maybe get rid of a bad habit? Whatever the changes the full moon in Capricorn brings are the changes that will let you be more balanced in your life. So examine how you treat yourself, examine how you take care of your health, and make better choices. On July 10th, Mars enters Virgo, your 2nd house. Mars will stay here until August 27th, giving you energy, drive, and courage to hustle and to make money. This can actually be really good in terms of entrepreneurship, starting a business, getting new resources. Of course, Mars in the 2nd house can also mean getting money quickly, but then spending money quickly. So a lot of times Mars in the second house is considered like burning through cash, right? So be mindful of that, and also be aware that conflicts around money and values are also very likely at this time. Mercury will enter your second house as well on July 28th for about 2 months. Mercury will retrograde in August, suggesting a need to rethink your values and rethink your finances, and perhaps consult a financial advisor. Or it can also be an opportunity to pay off a debt that you've forgotten about. That actually period when Mercury is retrograde between August 23rd and September 15th. Be really careful with how you spend money, because this could be a time where you get a bunch of money, but then you realize that there is this sudden expense that you need to cover, and then you end up spending the same money as suddenly as it came in. So needing to be more serious, needing to be more practical, needing to be more Virgo-like. So like having a plan, having a strategy to handle financial matters would be important. A really major shift occurs on July 12th as North Node enters Aries, your 9th house, and South Node enters Libra, your 3rd house, until January 29th, 2025. Last time we had the same alignment would have been between November 2004 and June 2006. What was happening in your life at that time? Libra, South Node will mean letting something go. So here you're letting something go in a way of communication, in a way of your everyday life, in your neighborhood. Maybe you're moving, maybe you're kind of changing your relationship with siblings and neighbors. There might be a mindset shift that is happening, and North Node in Aries will imply gains in terms of travel, education, legal matters, writing and publishing. So as your immediate environment and your attitude and your mentality sort of goes through a change, you're opening yourself up to new possibilities. And those possibilities, like I said, can involve a move, maybe publishing your work, and kind of presenting yourself in a different way. And please let me know in the comments below if any of these themes were present back in 2005, 2006. And on July 22nd, Leo season begins and Venus goes retrograde the same day. So Venus will be retrograding in your 1st house. Last time Venus retrograded in your 1st house would have been in 2015. What was your relationship like? What was your style like? Did it change? So Venus retrograde, since it's in your 1st house, you will embody her the most. 1st house represents you, it represents your health, your style, your kind of brand if you have a business. So Venus going retrograde here could temporarily make you feel unsure about your message or about your self-expression. You may sort of question what is authentic, what is joyful, what is important, and feel insecure. Even feeling insecure in your kind of skincare routine is possible. Allow the insecurity to be there. Do not kind of force the answer or try to like power your way through it. Instead, you know, try to be kind to yourself. Try to be caring towards yourself, and maybe brainstorm solutions, right? And trust them. When Venus goes direct on September 3rd, you will gain more clarity. You can also get my Venus in Libra or Moonlit Trinity candle to help you get through the retrograde phase. Watch out for making any kind of rash decisions when it comes to your look. Don't color your hair purple because you might regret it when Venus goes direct. If you'd like an in-depth horoscope, you'd like to know more about the rest of the transits in July and exactly what's happening in your natal chart, because these are rising sign horoscopes, they're less specific, you can become a subscriber on my website, anastasia.astrology.com, to get monthly horoscopes written down and delivered to your mailbox at the start of every month. If you are a Virgo rising, the sun spends most of the month in Cancer, which is your 11th house, suggesting a busier social life, you're going out more, you're connecting with other people, maybe you're even working on your hopes and dreams, or working with other people, or even pursuing some kind of volunteer work is a possibility here. At the beginning of the month, July 1st, there is a Mercury cazimi in your 11th house, sextiling Jupiter in the 9th. Mercury cazimi is Sun conjoining Mercury. It's a very empowered moment, very kind of like powerful, insightful moment. And here you're getting insights about your role in the collective, about your dreams, about your friendships. And the sextile to Jupiter to me suggests that those insights and those kind of collaborations and those new beginnings that are inspired by the cazimi are driving you to either study or teach, to write, to travel, to expand your life somehow, right? You're sort of getting very clear with the Mercury cazimi in your 11th house. You're getting clear about the dream you have that will put you in front of other people and that will let you share your beliefs with others, possibly. So, an example would be like getting an idea of starting an astrology podcast, or becoming a therapist and going to school to sort of help other people. The Cancer energy gets also very emphasized on July 17th when we have a new moon in Cancer, your 11th house, suggesting new beginnings, once again, like in terms of pursuing new dreams, in terms of asserting yourself in the collective, doing work that serves other people and helps other people. There's also a trine to Neptune in the 7th house with the new moon, which suggests either starting a business with your partner. There could actually even be a change in, like, if we're talking about dreams, right? And like the Neptune aspects, this new moon, and Neptune is in the house of partnerships. Maybe you're dreaming about getting married. Or maybe you're dreaming about starting a business, and that dream has the possibility to come true very soon with this new moon. Before then, we have a full moon in your 5th house on July 3rd. So, full moon in the 5th suggests a change to a creative project, to a relationship, romantic relationship, or to the life of your child. And still with a Cancer season highlighting your 11th house, and still with you sort of embracing a different role, with you dreaming about recognition or visibility or kind of having an impact on other people, that's what you want, right? But the full moon in the 5th house says that before you get there, you have to maybe rethink a relationship you're in. Is it helping or is it dragging you down? Is it ready to move to a different level? So maybe you need to have an important conversation so that you're not kind of concerned about the relationship and you can fully dedicate yourself to the dream project. Or maybe there's certain kind of matters connected to your child that you need to address, or a creative project that is coming full circle and opening space for new beginnings. So it's an interesting full moon. Take a look back at what happened about 6 months ago in December, January, to see what can be coming full circle around now. Like if you started a relationship, this full moon could be the time to move the relationship to a more serious level. Mars enters Virgo, your 1st house, on July 10th. This is exciting. Mars has been in your 12th house for a while, sort of maybe messing with your peace of mind, making you more critical of yourself, even affecting your sleep possibly. And now that Mars enters Virgo until August 27th, you are more driven to take action. You're more energetic, more confident, more courageous, and ready to kind of go out there and show the world who you are, right? It's a lovely time to start a new workout routine, to maybe even start a business, or like reach out to other people asking for help. Watch out for coming across as too combative or too sort of self-driven, let's say. Mercury also will be in Virgo between July 28th and October 4th, and it will go retrograde between August 23rd and September 15th. So I feel like as Mars perhaps is introducing these themes of taking action, being brave, Mercury will make you reconsider some of the things. Like maybe it's the time to examine your motivations and actually ask why you're doing some of the things, or it's the time to examine your approach and your style, even rewrite your resume, right? Or revamp your wardrobe to perhaps you're trying to change a job and now you want to be pharmaceutical rep, right? And you need to upgrade your wardrobe to look more kind of classy, right? I think they tend to dress a certain way. I wouldn't know. But definitely like Mercury being in Virgo at the end of the month until October 4th could be the time to rethink your health, rethink your style, rethink your diet, rethink your brand. A really big shift occurs on July 12th as North Node enters Aries, your 8th house, and South Node goes into Libra, your 2nd house. This will last until January 29, 2025. 2025. Where are we now? What year is this? 2020 kind of wiped it all clean. So South Node always means letting something go, right? South Node in the 2nd house of finances could mean rethinking your approach to money. It could mean making a big investment. It could mean saying goodbye to some of your resources. But then North Node in Aries says that your resources can be going towards starting a partnership or buying a home. North Node in the 8th house to me feels like starting partnerships that are kind of truthful and vulnerable and raw and intimate, but also they like tie you to the other person. It could also be about getting in debt, but like in debt because maybe you're getting a home, right? It's some kind of, there's a strong exchange between the house of personal finances and other people's finances, your resources and kind of debts and taxes. And last time we had this alignment would have been between November 2004 and June 2006. What was happening in your finances back then? Maybe you got a scholarship, maybe you invested into something. So let me know in the comments below what you can remember. And on July 22nd, Leo's season begins and Venus goes retrograde in your 12th house. So Venus retrograde in general tends to be the period where we are less sure. We may be, Venus in Leo wants to be seen, wants to be recognized and appreciated. When she's retrograde, she sort of feels kind of doubtful, self-doubtful. So feeling confused, feeling kind of uncertain about your goals, your dreams is likely. At the same time, in the 12th house, Venus retrograde can bring insights about your self-defeating tendencies. It can encourage you to heal from a past wound, to address relationships that are not healthy, to maybe even have fights about things that you're not talking about. It will definitely be a test to your love life. It's going to be a test for all of us. But I think if handled well and if handled with patience and self-love and awareness, it can be very kind of supportive. And you can also get a Venus in Libra or Moonlit Trinity candle from me to help you get through this difficult energy, because these candles were actually created with Venus being direct. And finally, if you'd like a personal horoscope to know what all of the July transits have in store for you, as well as what's happening to you personally, you can become a subscriber on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com, to get monthly horoscopes delivered to your mailbox at the start of every month. If you are a Libra rising, the Sun spends most of the month in Cancer until July 22nd, which is your 10th house. And 10th house represents career, status, reputation, your outward life, right? What are you known for in the world? So with the Sun here, you are working, you are focused on nurturing your projects, right? And if you are no longer working, if you're retired, for example, this could be doing something you're passionate about, right? And we actually get a new moon here on July 17th. And in the beginning of the month, we have a lovely alignment. There's Mercury Cazimi. This happens between actually June 30th, July 1st. We have Mercury Cazimi in your 10th house, sextiling Jupiter in the 8th house. Lovely energy. Kind of Mercury Cazimi is the Sun conjunct Mercury, insights, ideas, understanding, opportunities, good news at work. So maybe you are coming up with a new idea, or maybe you're starting a new project, or you're starting a new title. And the sextile to Jupiter in the 8th house is a sign of this being financially beneficial, or it's also a sign of feeling supported, getting resources you need, getting opportunities you crave. So there is kind of lovely flow between the resources you have in your access, right? And the support you have from other people and your professional aspirations. This could also be a start of a professional partnership. And the new moon on July 17th, to me, feels like taking those insights and downloads you received early in the month and applying them and actually setting intentions and getting going. What's interesting is the new moon on July 17th also trines Neptune in the 6th house. So it's very much about work, but it's like inspired work, it's imaginative work, it's work that helps other people. And what are you working on? Let me know in the comments below. I have a plan to create a 2024 planner. The progress has been rather slow, but I think June has been a bit of a messy month. So wish me focus and good luck. I'll keep you posted. On July 3rd, we have a full moon in Capricorn, 4th house. And as you are focusing so much on your career and your outside kind of aspirations and your dream projects, something in your home needs to be addressed as well. Maybe you need to clear space. Maybe you need to finish a project, right? Maybe you need to have an honest conversation with a family member. Maybe it's time for you to move, right? Like you sort of need to, the career and the home houses are very, very tied, right? If your home life is a mess, it's not likely that you're going to be successful in your professional life. So here it's the time to release something, change something in the home so there's more space to go in the outside world and show the world the boss you are, right? There might also be an opportunity to heal a childhood wound or to address something in your life. Mars enters Virgo, your 12th house, on July 10th. Will stay here until August 27th. Mars in the 12th house is a lot more introspective, a lot more research oriented, and kind of focused on fighting spiritual battles. So you're still potentially going to feel energetic, but the energy will be directed to working in solitude or to working on, it's actually a good energy to like work on passion projects, you know. Hopefully we will all take advantage of it, but very like focused, very imaginative, very hardworking. Watch out for being too self-critical. That's the downside. And sometimes having issues with sleep are possible with this placement or with this transit. So like either not being able to fall asleep or dreams just being more colorful. Perhaps you'll receive some downloads and messages in your dreams, and then it could be highly beneficial. But make sure you like spend time in nature and like do things that are good for you. Do yoga, right? Mars in the 12th house will enjoy that. Mercury will actually be here as well between July 28th and October 4th, going retrograde between August 23rd and September 15th. To me, this is a sign of like needing to examine your self-defeating tendencies, your habits that are outdated, your relationship to boundaries and kind of negative self-talk, right? Whenever 12th house gets activated, like I remember last year very clearly realizing that I was getting annoyed by something, but it wasn't the other person's fault. It was my fault in terms of not setting clear boundaries. So this could be your opportunity to be more mindful about your blind spots and make changes. A really, really big shift occurs on July 12th as North Node enters Aries, your 7th house of relationships and business partnerships, and South Node goes into Libra, your 1st house. Really big deal. This is going to last until January 29th, 2025, and we're actually going to get a final eclipse in like March 2025. So about a year and a half, even more, of the North Node in Aries, South Node in Libra. South Node tends to represent release. So South Node in the 1st house could mean change to what you do for a living, how you define yourself, where you live, who you are. It's not necessarily easy. It's not easy to kind of shed skin, right? But the other side of it is the gains connected to North Node, and North Node is in the house of relationships. So some of you might get into a serious relationship. Some of you might get married. Some of you might start a business that will go far, right? But you really have to be careful to not lose yourself in the process, because South Node in the 1st can like reveal health difficulties or, you know, people-pleasing tendencies that you need to address. Yeah, so example, it could be like giving up your apartment to move in with your partner. So it's a gain in a relationship, but it's a loss in terms of personal space and personal time and, you know, things. I'm just laughing because I live separately from my boyfriend right now, and it will be interesting to see what this cycle will bring. Last time we had this exact alignment would have been between November 2004 and June 2006. Let me know in the comments below what was happening in your life at the time. On July 22nd, the Sun enters Leo and Venus goes retrograde in the sign of Leo. And as a Libra rising, you are ruled by Venus. So I highly, highly recommend getting my Venus in Libra or Venus Kazemi candle for you to help you get through this difficult period, because these were created with Venus going direct, empowered, and Libra, your 1st house. It smells like apples. And you can get, I was like, ooh, that smells so delicious. And you can get them on my website, AnastasiaDoesAstrology.com. But it's really beneficial. So when Venus is retrograde, you may feel doubtful. It's in the 11th house, so there might be certain insecurities and difficulties showing up in friendships where you don't know which ones of your friends are reliable. If you're working on a dream project, this could be a period in which you're feeling uninspired and sort of insecure about the work that you've been doing. And it's okay. It's okay to doubt. It's okay to feel insecure. Relationship difficulties are also likely. But, you know, like, allow the uncertainty, allow the confusion, and trust that when Venus goes direct on September 3rd, the answers will come. This could be a lovely period to examine your motivation, examine your goals, examine your style, and maybe rethink some of it, right? Like, think of, for inspiration, you can always look back. The retrograde is the time to look back. Look back at your childhood. Look back at your interests. Look back at things that consistently were there for you and use them as an inspiration. And if you'd like a more personal horoscope for a deeper look at July, you can become a subscriber on my website, AnastasiaDoesAstrology.com, to receive monthly horoscopes unique to your natal chart, emailed to you at the start of every month. If you are a Scorpio rising, the Sun is in Cancer most of the month until July 22nd. This is your 9th house. And you may be expanding your world, expanding your knowledge through education, travel, writing, applying for visas, or even taking on like classes in spirituality or learning something exciting, right? At the start of the month, actually end of June, June 30th, July 1st, we have Mercury Kazemi in your 9th house, sextiling Jupiter in the 7th house. And here we get an exchange of energy between the house of travel, education, legal matter, publishing, and the house of partnerships and relationships. And I feel like there might be some kind of insights about a relationship, right? Mercury Kazemi is always like, it's Mercury conjunct the Sun, empowered Mercury, the planet of the mind, getting more clear about your relationship, getting more clear about your desires in relationships, getting more clear about your business strategy, some kind of understanding, or maybe like understanding your legal battle more clearly. And the sextile to Jupiter in the 7th house suggests like supportive vibes from a house of relationship. It could also be maybe Jupiter in the 7th house is a mentor, a teacher, a person who comes into your life who is going to help you figure some things out. Or maybe they're a partner, right? Maybe it's a person who will start a writing project with you or a publishing project. Whatever it is, you are ready to expand your life. You are ready to change your life. And you're doing it hand in hand with the person you work with, the person you care for. Maybe that person is you, right? Starts within. The themes here continue on July 17th as we get a new moon in Cancer, your 9th house. So this could be a start of a course of studies, maybe a start of a teaching gig. Maybe you're traveling, maybe you're kind of taking care of some legal matters, maybe you're writing something important. And the new moon trines Neptune in the 5th. So the change in the mindset represented by the new moon in the 9th house can also be connected to your love life, to your creative self-expression, or to your attitude towards children, right? Like maybe you thought you don't want them, but now you're kind of feeling that you can see the joy of being a parent. I can see that as a possibility. And let me know how this resonates in the comments below. On July 3rd, we have a full moon in Capricorn, your 3rd house. And as you're going through this mindset change, through this expansion, growth, transformation, right? Connected to education, travel, etc., everything I mentioned just before, you really need to address and have certain conversations with siblings, maybe with neighbors. You need to make changes to your schedule. You need to sort of, 3rd house is very applied. 9th house is more kind of big and grand and ideas and wishes and plans, right? So with the full moon in the 3rd house, it says like, okay, before you get there, before you start education, figure out how to solve your legal problem, write that novel, you have to clear up space for it. And so 3rd house full moon on July 3rd is very much like change your everyday life. Open up space, have a conversation with a sibling who's been bothering you with their problems nonstop, right? Express through conversation or through like getting more organized, express your need for space. I think that's very important here. On July 10th, Mars will enter Virgo, your 11th house, will stay here until August 27th. Mars in the 11th is busy social life. You're going out more, you're connecting with friends, you're fighting with friends, or you're fighting for a group, for a cause, for something important to you. Mars in the 11th house is very much like a spokesperson for the collective. Mercury will be here between July 28th and October 4th. We'll go retrograde in August. So there's a chance that some of your relationships, some of your social engagements, some of your way of relating to people in your life will need to be reconsidered. So maybe you tend to be too aggressive, or you tend to be too domineering in the friendship, or even maybe there's a friendship that hasn't been satisfying for a while, and Mercury retrograde will be a sign that you need to have an honest conversation. There might be also a chance, like Mars being here between July 10th and August 27th could be the time when you're taking more action on social media. But Mercury being retrograde would be a time to slow down and to examine your attitude towards social media, examine the dreams you have, and perhaps get rid of the clutter and get more clear about what needs to be done to get you there. A really big shift occurs on July 12th as North Node enters Aries, your 6th house, and South Node goes into Libra, your 12th house. This is a really big thing. It's going to last until January 29th, 2025. South Node always represents release, change, letting things go, emptying. So South Node is going into your house of mental health and self-defeating tendencies. So it's going to make you examine your self-defeating relationship tendencies, because Libra is very much a relationship-driven sign, or also just like bad habits and, you know, a tendency to maybe sacrifice your needs for the needs of the other person, kind of address your mental health, focus on mental health, be reborn in that sector of your life. And North Node in Aries will say that in order to get better at the things you're trying to get better, you will need to implement a routine. Like North Node in the 6th house could be the time where you start to work out on a regular, right? Like you start to prioritize your well-being, you make sure that you get at least 3 workouts every week. Could be the time when your work changes as well, and you're sort of starting to choose work that is more aligned with your purpose, that is more supportive of who you feel you are inside. Beautiful Scorpio rising. And last time we had this alignment would have been between November 2004 and June 2006. Do me a favor, reflect on what was your kind of mental health, physical health, work, if you were working at the time, what was your life like at that time, point of time, and let me know down there. I'd appreciate that. Finally, on July 22nd, the Sun enters Leo, your 10th house of career, and Venus goes retrograde in Leo. So you may have been conceiving new professional ideas, or working on getting recognition, pursuing new projects, or even just trying to figure out what would make you feel happy. And when Venus goes retrograde, your progress may stall. Something that once made you inspired and excited no longer will. There might be certain misunderstandings with bosses, a sense that your progress is not getting recognized. Kind of the question here is like, are you happy with what you do? Are you feeling valued? Are you feeling well compensated? And if the answer is not, use this period to brainstorm careers or brainstorm solutions to the problem. And at times, the retrograde means looking back. So looking back at the jobs that did make you happy, or looking back at the projects that you felt passionate about but maybe put on the back burner, and bringing them to the forefront could be important. And Venus will go direct on September 3rd. If you'd like a personal horoscope tailored to your chart, emailed to you at the start of every month, consider becoming a subscriber on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com, to get monthly horoscopes sent to you, to your email. If you are a Sagittarius rising, the Sun is in Cancer, your 8th house, until July 22nd. The Sun in the 8th house means you're more focused on exchanges you have with other people. You're more focused on financial topics. Maybe you're paying off debts. Maybe you're getting loans. Maybe you're kind of negotiating contracts and transforming unhealthy agreements. At the start of the month, on July 1st, we have a Mercury Cazimi in this house, which is the conjunction between the Sun and Mercury. And so Mercury Cazimi sextiles Jupiter in the 6th house. And there's like a lovely flow between the house of money, resources, agreements with other people, things that other people are willing to share with you, and the house of health, work, and service. So could be a great time to start a professional partnership, to pay off a debt, to even like talk to your boss about helping you get rid of your student loans or your student debts. So I think this could be a very kind of good transit for problem solving, as well as both of these have to do with health. And with the 8th house, you can get a breakthrough in terms of something that is not serving you. And then with the 6th house, you can actually get moving, right? Jupiter in the 6th house will say like, okay, now you understand that this is a problem. Let's have a strategy. Let's start eating better. Let's start exercising. Let's get you over your fears and into your new personality. And then, we also have a new moon here in your 8th house on July 17th, suggesting new partnerships that tie you to others, but also set you free. So getting a loan, getting like an employee, getting a nanny for your child are all possibilities here. It's like new beginnings connected to dealing with other people. Even starting a joint bank account with your spouse or with your boyfriend is a possibility here, or like healing. The new moon trines Neptune in your 4th house, so making this also like healing family wounds, maybe getting loans to pay off your mortgage, or getting resources to take care of your family. So there's a lot of kind of exciting possibilities here. On July 3rd, we have a full moon in Capricorn. This is your 2nd house, bringing changes to the sector of money and values. And as you are very kind of focused and dedicated to your 8th house, you're kind of focused on interacting with other people, connecting with other people, starting new partnerships, paying off debts. You need to, with a full moon, you need to examine your relationship to your money and your relationship to your self-worth, right? This could be a really good time to revisit your beliefs when it comes to finances, to revisit your sense of confidence, and understand that these new partnerships that you're beginning, or any relationship you're in, it's also due to you. It's due to who you are. It's due to what you have to offer. It's due to the work that you've done. So the full moon in the 2nd house could be very spiritual, very kind of good for appreciating yourself and loving yourself, but it can also be quite financially oriented, where you're paying off a debt, or you're consulting a financial advisor, or you're closing some kind of financial chapter. Maybe you're getting like returns from an investment you made. Mars enters Virgo, your 10th house of work, status, career, reputation on July 10th. And until August 27th, you have more energy to express yourself, to be more assertive at work, to be more sort of independent. It's a great time to hustle, to start a business, to, go after your desires, to ask for what you want with confidence and self-assurance. Watch out for conflicts in the professional context. Conflicts with bosses are more likely when Mars is in the 10th house. Mercury will be here from July 28th until October 4th. It's going to go retrograde next month. So you're also in for an interesting period of rethinking what you want professionally, and rethinking your relationship with colleagues, and sort of asking what you want to be known for, what you want to be appreciated for, and maybe, I don't know, looking back at what once made you happy, at the job that once made you excited, and needing to take more steps, or maybe take a few steps back. A really big shift occurs on July 12th as North Node enters Aries, your 5th house, and South Node enters Libra, your 11th house. Really big change. It's going to last until January 29th, 2025. Such a long time. It's such a long time. South Node always represents endings, right? So here we have South Node in your 11th house, which could mean a transformation of a friendship, could mean a change in your dreams. Some kind of social goal you had can no longer seem exciting, or maybe you're completing some kind of chapter in your life, maybe, caring for the opinions of others that used to be important to you, and now you're getting more in touch with your personal joy. North Node in the 5th house, your personal romantic nature. This is very much like, this is what I want. Of course, the nodes always want to balance off of each other, right? So here I think it's very much about releasing unhealthy people-pleasing relationship tendencies, and then focusing more on romance, creativity, children, just like whatever it is that makes you happy. And last time we had this would have been between November 2004 and June 2006. Did you discover any passions? Did you connect with children or maybe became a parent at that time? What was happening? Let me know down there. And another big transit happens on July 22nd as Leo season begins and Venus goes retrograde in your 9th house. So 9th house represents education, travel, legal matters, writing, and Venus retrograding here can make those matters more confusing. So maybe you've been planning a trip and now suddenly your partner's schedule gets all conflicting and it's not clear whether you're going to go or not. Or maybe there's legal matters you've been dealing with and suddenly they stall and no longer move forward. Maybe you're working on like a writing proposal and this also slows down. Venus retrograde in the 9th house, education matters can also be confusing. Venus retrograde in the 9th house is all about your beliefs, your knowledge, and your principles, right? And when Venus is retrograde and things seemingly don't work right or they fall apart, a lot of times it's an opportunity to look within and ask how are things inside your head reflecting everything that's happening outside? How do you need to change your mentality and your mindset in order to bring forth productive, harmonious progress in your life? So look at the beliefs you have, the ideas you have, and discard those that do not serve you and maybe rewrite them and bring those that do. And if you are dealing with any like educational, travel, legal, publishing confusion, expect it to clear once Venus goes direct on September 3rd. And if you'd like a personal, detailed horoscope, become a subscriber on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com, to get horoscopes tailored to your chart, very detailed, very specific, very good advice, if I say so myself, helping guide you through the month ahead. Become a subscriber at anastasiadoesastrology.com. If you are a Capricorn rising, the sun spends most of the month until July 22nd in your 7th house, and you're very focused on relationships and partnerships. Maybe you're going on more dates, reaching out to people, collaborating. At the start of the month, on July 1st, we have Mercury Cazimi in your 7th house, which is the sun conjoining Mercury. A moment of clarity, insights, and understanding about relationships with other people, about your desires, expectations, and perhaps opportunities to connect with other people. And Mercury Cazimi sextiles Jupiter in your 5th house. So these insights can help you creatively. They can help your love life. They can actually offer opportunities to start a creative project. Maybe you have a connection that you reach out to and they become a producer on your movie, right? Or they can give you an opportunity to become a parent. Maybe you and your partner have a deep conversation and you realize that you're ready to start trying for a child. Or romantically, right? This could be like a start of a new chapter in your life. And what's exciting is we have a new moon in Cancer, your 7th house, on July 17th, which feels like whatever those ideas and conversations you have early in the month, you then get to move ahead and, press full speed ahead on July 17th. This could be a commitment, this could be a pregnancy or, kind of having a kid, or maybe a business opportunity, new contracts, new agreements. And there is a new moon trines Neptune in the 3rd, so partnerships that encourage writing projects, business opportunities, and like maybe new interests, maybe a chance to take your interests and move them forward, take them to the next level. On July 3rd, we have a full moon in Capricorn, 1st house, and as you are changing, as your focus goes towards relationships with Cancer season, you are needing to address for the time of that full moon, you're actually needing to focus on yourself. So around July 3rd, you really need to like examine the way you take care of yourself, maybe like introduce better practices, release a bad habit, rethink your style, rethink the way you define yourself, right? It's kind of like if you want better relationship, you really need to change yourself first, or like start a better relationship with yourself. So I think giving yourself some love, focusing on taking better care of your health could be a beginning of a better relationship possibilities of the better relationship possibilities. Mars enters Virgo, your 9th house, on July 10th. Will stay here until August 27th, giving you more energy, more restlessness. You're sort of craving adventure. You want to travel, you want to learn, you want to teach. There's also, you're more likely to fly off the handle if somebody disagrees with you, so watch out for ideological battles. And Mercury will enter Virgo as well on July 28th. Will stay here until October 4th. Mercury will go retrograde in August, suggesting that something related to travel, education, writing, publishing matters, legal matters will need a second look, right? Maybe you're writing and Mercury goes retrograde and you need to re-edit something, you need to like retake an exam you took in the past, or even if you're like in a legal type situation, this might be the time when like the other side comes back with contra argument. They come up with an argument, make things more complicated for you. So maybe things slow down. It could also be an opportunity to rethink your beliefs and ideals if Mars and Virgo potentially brought you into more fights with people. Maybe think of, is it really worth it fighting with your uncle whose opinion you will not change, but you will upset yourself? So kind of thinking about that would be important. A really big shift occurs on July 12th as North Node enters Aries, your 4th house, and South Node goes into Libra, your 10th house. South Node has the energy of release. So release is happening in your sector of career, status, and reputation. And this could be a few different things. It could mean you're changing your professional life. North Node goes into the 4th, so perhaps you are starting to prioritize home, family, kind of mental well-being, comfort, right? North Node in Aries could mean changing where you live, investing into real estate, even starting to work from home or starting to do work that deals with real estate is a possibility here. I just feel like with South Node in the 10th, it's the time to look at the career and perhaps find better balance by having a better home life, right? Like letting go of a job to move, or letting go of a job to become a parent, are some possibilities here. And last time we had this exact transit would have been between November 2004 and June 2006. Let me know in the comments below what was happening in your life at that point. Finally, on July 22nd, Leo season begins and Venus goes retrograde in your 8th house. 8th house is our relationships with other people. It's agreements we have with them, it's dependencies we have on them, it's dependencies they have on us, it's the money we owe to others or money that is owed to us. And Venus retrograde here can make these topics a bit more frustrating. This could be the time when you're having a lot of conflicts about fairness with people in your life. You're kind of questioning, are people appreciating your generosity? Are they recognizing your gifts to them, right? And I'm not saying that you should do things for others so that they give you something back, but if you do things for others and they do not even appreciate you, then maybe it's time to revisit some of these relationships and express what you want and what you don't want, and what you deserve and what you don't deserve. It could also be an opportunity to comb through your finances, to find some maybe resources that you need, right? It could be the time when sudden debts arrive that you need to pay, that it's like couldn't be the worst time. So be aware already and try to be mindful when it comes to how you spend money. And if you'd like a personal horoscope for the month of July, you can become a subscriber on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com, to receive monthly horoscopes at the start of every month. They're tailored to your chart and they give you a lot more information, including specific personal transits, and help you get through the more difficult times. Now let's talk about Aqua risings. If you're an Aqua rising, the sun spends most of the month until July 22nd in your 6th house. And you are focusing on health. You are perhaps cleaning, problem solving, changing your diet, doing work that is kind of health oriented, maybe seeing more doctors, maybe getting a pet or something like that. At the start of the month, July 1st, we have a Mercury cazimi in your 6th house, and it's sextiling Jupiter in the 4th house, connecting your house of health, daily work, problem solving to the house of home, family, living situation. And this could be a chance to maybe start working from home, or maybe start doing work that is home related. Like maybe you are understanding that what you've wanted to do was to be a realtor, right? Mercury cazimi in the 6th house is the sun conjunct Mercury. It's always very like empowered, insightful. And I think to me, this feels as like understanding of what you need, understanding of what bad habits you have, what kind of, how can you take better care of your health, what you desire professionally, right? And the sextile to Jupiter in the 4th could be a sign that either like home and family is what you need and what you desire, or home and family can be a source of support. Maybe you start working out with your family member. Maybe you start working on a better living situation. Maybe you start kind of working on a better communication with your family. There's a lot of possibilities here. But what's interesting is on July 17th, we have a new moon in Cancer, your 6th house, and a trine to Neptune in the 2nd house. So whatever insights you had about taking better care of your health, or working, or needing to exercise, or even some kind of opportunity to problem solve can possibly take shape around this time and can even lead to financial new beginnings. Right? It's interesting because like this is 6th house. It's the place of serving others. It's the place of like grimy work that is super important, but maybe underappreciated. And the trine to Neptune in the 2nd house feels like maybe you're figuring out how to make money from that work, or maybe you're investing into your well-being and your health, or maybe you're choosing work that is kind of more spiritual, more uplifting, more valuable to you. As you're so focused on this kind of health and well-being, there is a full moon in Capricorn, your 12th house, on July 3rd, suggesting a need to address your mental health and maybe release some negative tendencies and any fears you have, and even complete some kind of therapy session, or like therapy growth could be indicated by this full moon, like breakthroughs in terms of self-understanding. But it's saying like in order to get this new chapter in your everyday life, in your professional life, you first need to look at your blind spot. And perhaps, like I said, look at how you talk to yourself, look at the fears you have, and not shy away from them, but instead embrace them and then set them free, right? Like, what is holding you back? What is stopping you from living your fullest potential? Chances are it's probably you yourself. And the full moon in the 12th house could also be very much about being clear as how you want to pursue your kind of spiritual dreams and maybe getting rid of all the clutter. Mars enters Virgo, your 8th house, on July 10th, and until August 27th, you are energetic and courageous and kind of driven to partner up with others, to pay off debts, to get loans you need, and to perhaps collaborate with other people. Conflicts around money are more likely, so be careful there. What's interesting is Mercury will be here from July 28th until October 4th, retrograding between August 23rd and September 15th. So you are, with Mars going here, you are kind of looking at your dynamics with other people. And if you do run into any conflicts about money or any disagreements with your partner, let's say, Mercury being retrograde here is your chance to address those uncomfortable topics and figure out how you can manage finances better, how you can maybe pay off some debts or, bring more fairness into your relationships. 8th house is money, but it's also all the things we exchange with other people. Like, somebody cooks for you and they feel like you don't appreciate them, and then you run into like a deeper issue that needs to be examined. A really big shift occurs on July 12th as North Node enters Aries, your 3rd house, and South Node enters Libra, your 9th house. These nodes will stay in these two signs until January 29, 2025. And South Node always represents release. So South Node being in your 9th house could mean a change in attitude, a change in belief, like a mindset shift. It could mean a completion of a legal chapter. If you're a lawyer, you may feel like you're no longer interested in being a lawyer potentially. Or if you've been in school for a while, this could be the time when you feel like, okay, you've learned enough. And then North Node takes you into the 3rd house, suggesting a need to apply everything you learned, or a need to change your everyday life, a need to start kind of, maybe you've gathered knowledge, now you're ready to teach it. Maybe you're ready to start a business. Maybe you're kind of moving from the need to think about it, which is represented by the 9th house, and feeling like it's time to do it. And yeah, like letting go of being a student in order to start a business, or letting go of being a teacher in order to start a business. It's interesting because both 3rd and 9th house represent education, but 9th house is more like university level and 3rd house is more applied, maybe like school, early school level. So there might also be like a change of wanting to do things and wanting to teach things that are more applicable and more, I guess, instructional in some way. And your relationship with your siblings can also be changing with like South Node in the 9th. Maybe you're moving and maybe you're getting kind of moving closer to your sibling. Last time we had this exact alignment would have been between November 2004 and June 2006. Reflect back and please tell me in the comments below what you remember, what was happening, and how you feel it can play out around now. Finally, Leo season begins and Venus goes retrograde in your 7th house on July 22nd. Venus will be retrograde until September 3rd. It's always about 6 weeks. Last time we had Venus retrograde in your 7th house would have been in 2015, so it could be useful to take a look back. Venus retrograde in the 7th house is the time of relationship tests, right? Venus retrograde is a need to look at the shadows, to examine kind of unhealthy behaviors, to examine things that you shove behind and don't address. So Venus retrograde in the 7th could be very much an ex coming into your life, or having conflicts that you thought you were done with, but now you need to examine them, getting more honest about whether you feel appreciated and seen the way you expect to be seen in a relationship. So could be tense, but of course, if your relationship is strong, if your relationship is solid, you have nothing to fear, just allow it to pass and be honest with your partner, be caring with your partner. And if you're single, you can see it in other relationships. You can see this show up in business relationships where maybe your clients are acting weird, or there's just an overall sense of uncertainty about which direction to go with the relationships. It's a little bit tricky to start relationships at this time, but of course, if you meet someone and it's magical, don't hesitate to give it a shot. And if you'd like a personal horoscope that includes transits unique to you and gives you a lot more information about what's ahead in July, become a subscriber on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. I send out personal horoscopes at the start of every month, and I also send out weekly updates about the week ahead. Now, saving the best for last. If you are a Pisces rising, the sun spends most of the month in Cancer until July 22nd, and this is your 5th house. So with the sun in your 5th house, you are being more playful, you're focusing on romance, maybe you're going out more, maybe you're feeling more inspired, or spending more time with kids is a possibility here. But I think like joy and pleasure are the main keywords here. And at the start of the month, on July 1st, we have Mercury Cazimi in your 5th house, sextile Jupiter in the 3rd house. Mercury Cazimi is insights, good news, opportunities, and when it's connected, so it's basically the sun conjunct Mercury, empowered mind, empowered thinking. So you can get a better understanding of what brings you joy and what gets you excited, and also maybe some like conception, right? Like 5th house could be conception of a child, or it could be conception of a project, of a creative project. The sextile to Jupiter in the 3rd house feels like a chance to use your skills, a chance to use your ideas and to use your words to start something new, right? It could also actually be like 3rd house represents neighborhood and 5th house represent romance. So maybe you're dating someone in the hood or a neighbor. So maybe there's like sparks flying there. But I feel like it could also be very much like insight about what you enjoy doing. You like dancing, sextile Jupiter in the 3rd house. You start a TikTok that's dedicated to dancing and it blows up. Or you start a YouTube channel about your cat because you understand that you love your cat. So July 1st is lovely, and this is kind of continues to build and grows even more when we get the new moon in Cancer, your 5th house, on July 17th. A new moon in the 5th house could be, once again, it's very fertile. So here you're conceiving a child, you're conceiving a creative project, you're conceiving a new relationship or a new chapter in a relationship. It could also be the time of like sexual experimentation, sexual awakening. But the new moon trines Neptune in the 1st, so I think it once again feels very creative, like you're tapping into your imagination and into your dreams and taking them to the next level, or you're also transforming who you are. So if we're talking about parenthood, this is very literal, right? Like you're becoming a parent, so you're changing. On July 3rd, we have a full moon in Capricorn. This is your 11th house. And I feel like as you are rediscovering joy with all of this action in the 5th house, the full moon is asking you to look at the big picture. And it's asking you to maybe open up space in your everyday life. It may be the time to examine some of your friendships, maybe some of your social engagements. Maybe some of them need to go, some of them need to be updated, right? Perhaps if you're becoming a parent, let's say, perhaps your friendships are changing because you want to hang out with people who understand what it's like to get no sleep. So it could be quite like interesting in terms of completing a social chapter so that you can start a more personal chapter, a more enjoyable chapter. Mars enters Virgo, your 7th house, on July 10th. Will stay here until August 27th, and you have more courage, more drive and desire to date and partner up, collaborate with others, right? Watch out for fighting with your significant other, or just watch out for being more argumentative. My boyfriend has Mars in the 7th house and I have Mars in Virgo, so woohoo for us. But you know, we live it every day. There's definitely an element of like butting heads. So watch out for fighting with your significant other. Instead, look for ways to be active with them, like to find a hobby, to go exercise together, to fight for a cause together, to volunteer together. Those are really great. What's interesting is Mercury goes into your 7th house, Virgo, on July 28th for 2 months. It will retrograde in late August, suggesting a need to rethink your relationship, to rethink your dynamics, and maybe kind of your agreements, right? Are you happy with everything? Are you talking about things openly? Is there something you need to discuss? An ex can show up in your life and sort of, you know, bring up some things that you thought you were done with, but maybe you're not. Be careful as always. Do not let the retrograde sweep you off your feet and make your ex seem better than they are. But sometimes the retrograde gives us a chance to like tie a bow on something. So, you know, if that's what you need, that's what you need. I don't judge, said a Virgo. No, I cannot judge sometimes. Sometimes it's really hard, but most of the time, especially at work, I think I don't. Enough about me. So a really big shift occurs on July 12th as North Node enters Aries, your 2nd house, and South Node enters Libra, your 8th house. Super big, will last until January 29, 2025. Super long, right? And we're going to have a lot of eclipses in Aries and Libra. We already had the first eclipse in Aries. South Node represents endings. So here you have South Node in the house of debts, taxes, shared resources, and partners' finances. So there might be a sense of paying off a debt. Maybe your partner is going through a tough time financially. Maybe you're closing some kind of chapter of depending on other people. And with North Node and Aries, you're rediscovering your independence and kind of going very heavily into money making and becoming more like self-reliant. Also like needing to find a better balance between valuing a relationship or valuing what the other person think and what you think, and trying to get those in a more balanced state, I can see as a possibility here. An example would be like, you know, if we think South Node in the 8th house, like a partner loses their job, putting more weight on you to support them. So that's definitely a possibility. And while it may seem like a tough change, it can also be an opportunity for you to step up, right? And to show up and to build your financial abundance. And last time we had this exact alignment would have been between November 2004 and June 2006. So take a look back at that period and please report down below what it was like for you. And finally, on July 22nd, Leo season begins and Venus goes retrograde in your 6th house of health, work, service, pets, and everyday life. So Venus has been in Leo for about a month, and you would have been, you know, Venus has been in Leo, moving direct, and maybe you've been focusing on your health. Maybe you've been kind of rearranging things in your home, getting more organized. And now that Venus goes retrograde, you may feel less driven, less inspired. Maybe the progress you've been making in terms of health, maybe it slows down. Maybe some of the issues you are dealing with at work get kind of enhanced and you no longer feel appreciated or recognized or even certain about which direction you want to take. Be patient, think about the ways to take better care of your health and bring better balance in your life. And it's okay to feel confused, right? It's okay to not have all the answers. The retrograde period is more about getting in touch with what's important. So focus on that. Focus on self-care, self-love. And when Venus goes direct on September 3rd, it is more likely that you'll have the answers, and health, work, service, or even pets related matters will improve. And if you'd like a deeper horoscope, if you'd like to know more about your personal chart, what July has in store for you, become a subscriber on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com, to get unique horoscopes and unique advice tailored specifically to you, emailed to you at the start of every month. And thank you for listening. These videos always take a long time to film. I saw someone recently post a horoscope that was 5 hours long, and I applaud to that person. I think it takes me like 3 hours to film this one, and it's a lot of time. So thank you everyone who is here. Thank you for watching. I really, really appreciate you. Have a good month of July. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.